For staying with us. In this segment, we'll be talking about people's views, Nigerian people's views, and the perception on the 100 days of the President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office. Nigerians have expressed mixed reactions over the performance of the President's administration, while some believe he has done quite well. We will be looking critically at how he has performed in the areas of security, economy, appointments, foreign and internal policies, and proactiveness or his responsiveness reacting to public outcries and all. So later on the show, we'll be bringing in an APC National Secretary, Senator Ajibola Bashir, who will join us later to share his views. But first and more importantly, we'd like to hear from Nigerians. What are your own thoughts? The president has spent 100 days in office. What are your thoughts on what he's done so far? What are your own views? It's important we hear the views of Nigerians on what this administration has done so far. So you can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081 076 41679 0902 4163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. There's so many levels and so many areas to talk about, but I know you had said recently...
Let me start by saying that 100 days, this concept of the first 100 days, it is no way to indicate how well or how poorly a government has been working. 100 days is barely 3 months. That cannot be a basis for judging an administration. But it would give us an inkling to where the government is leaning and if they are keeping to their words as promised in their manifestos pre-election, especially when we're judging a new administration. If it is someone coming back, we can just ignore it. But this is, 100 days is not a basis for judgment. However, there's a report that came out by Mr. Shubowale, and in that report, he was comparing what the president said he was going to do in government and what he actually has done. One of the big deals the president had said, and all the candidates said, was that they were going to be no subsidy. There was going to be deregulation of the petroleum sector. However, the approach in the manifesto and what the reality brought to us was very different. The manifesto promised a gradual removal of subsidy that would be phased out in a way that would not hurt the people. What we saw in the first 100 days was immediate removal, which turned many Nigerians into paupers, many Nigerians into losing their jobs, many Nigerians into poor people immediately because they couldn't afford basic livelihood. So that would be an obvious, you promised this, you gave us this. You promised us that the refineries were going to be working, you phase out the removal of subsidy, but we didn't get that reaction. I'll just leave it at that because that's what affected most Nigerians so far. The number one thing that has affected us in this administration has been the removal of subsidy. Everybody's bearing the brunt and we're feeling the impact.
Right. I don't think 100 days is meant to say that you have already done well or you've done poorly, but I think it's just to show you the direction in which a government is going. And I think with this particular government, more than the previous governments, for me personally, I can say that I can see where the direction is. One of the positives that I've seen is that this administration seems to be quite a responsive one. I mean, there are a few cases of protests, concerning appointments, as we remember the NDDC appointments. And in a matter of few days, you get a response. You get response that shows that they have listened to people. So it looks like their ears are on the ground. They seem to be quite close to the people. And we see that happening. In the appointments too, the ministerial appointments, some people were taking off just the last moment, and it was based on public outcry and conversations. The second thing, which will be like a negative for this government, and I think from the very first time that the president had said it at his swearing in, when he said subsidy will be removed, he got a lot of criticism because they felt that the way he did it wasn't the right way, and so we saw the backlash or the negative impact on the economy and on people. And I think that the government is learning that sometimes we have good intentions, sometimes we have a great policy, but there also has to be a way that first you announce that policy, and also that there has to be a plan put in place to cushion the effect of the policy. So we find that this government is, on the one hand, trying to push what we have all agreed is right, but there is a huge negative economic impact. We are now we're talking about palliatives, how to make sure that Nigerians are able to cover for cost of transportation. Some people even need to get food for, all across, the country. So those are the two things I think the government, positive, it seems quite responsive. Negative is that going forward with any other policy, there has to be a plan before it is set off.
What are your thoughts, general thoughts on the first 100 days?
Well, it's pretty obvious that Nigerians are going through a lot. They've been through a lot in the last 3 months, but it's also important to note that the shege that we are going through now did not start today. The difference is that the issues that we had before, the sufferings that we had before, was as a result of a lack of vision to improve the economy, while this one is as a result of an intentional move to cushion the effects of radical policies that have been made to reduce poverty and also improve the economy. I would want to, in my own opinion, I think that this government, the body language of this government seems like they know what they are doing. And I'm going to cite the fuel subsidy removal as an example. A lot of people might argue that it should have been done better, it should have been gradual, but I believe the radical approach was the best. Because if the president had set up a committee to look into this, 1 year down the line, we'll still be speaking big grammar, and then they won't have done anything. And there's a quote that says that if you want to make any bold decision, it's better you do it scared. Do it, just go into it, and then when you are inside of it, you'll figure out how it's going to pan out. And that's exactly what we are saying with the palliatives and all the things that have been rolled out now. So it's a great move. It was radical. We are feeling the brunt, but I believe that it will get better in the long run.
All right, so going by the article by Mr. Shubowale from Vanguard, I think he read an article there, which is pretty interesting. He had a perspective that the president has never worked in top-level federal government. So according to Mr. Shubowale, he's new. He knew next to nothing about government at that level. So according to him, he doesn't know how complex systems work. And furthermore, Buhari had kept him totally uninformed about what they were doing in the last administration. He arrived on the job absolutely ignorant of what he would inherit. And we've seen that in the sense that many government, once they enter government, they realize, oh my goodness, I didn't understand the capacity of what I was about to do. We think you know, but until you get in. But do you think he was prepared, or he's prepared for what is happening? Because it seems that he's almost learning, and he takes an inch, then he realizes, and he takes a step back. He does something that he thinks is right, he takes a step back. Do you think he was really prepared for this job?
I don't think we can be prepared for the problem in Nigeria. No, if we're being realistic, the kind of problem Nigeria is facing is so complex and multifaceted that no one person could actually be prepared and come in and be dropping it like, it's not a messiah. So the response of the president personally, in that he is responsive, in that he's taking responsibility, is good for me. In that when there is a problem, there is a reaction to cover up that problem. That for me is okay. However, we all expected a whole lot because he made a lot of promises. So there was an expectation that he had a stronger level of knowledge of how bad things were. And then he made a statement right from the beginning of the administration. He said that they should not pity him. He asked for this job. He knows it's going to be a complex job. He knows that he will make enemies. He knows he will not please Nigerians. He knows that it will get harder before it gets better, obviously. But he said we should not pity him. He's ready for the job. So I believe he's ready. He knows it will not be easy, and he's willing to take feedback. We will just, as Nigerians, do our own path, which is to consistently give him the feedback in a constructive way. Like the way NDDC scenario plays out, that this is what you've done. We don't want it. This is how we want you to do it, according to the law. And he responded. So if Nigerians all come together, understanding that we're working as one to make our country better, and we give feedback consistently like that, we expect that based on what he has done in the past 100 days, we hope he consistently does that and he addresses himself to
this call from Mr. Francis. Thanks for calling. You're live. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's a part of... Okay, go ahead.
Yes, you were saying if he was ready, and I tried to, first of all, sometimes we need to, instead of looking at him in isolation, let's look at him in comparison to maybe 2 or 3 administrations before him. And in that
regard.
In that regard, he feels to me to be the most prepared of the lot. I mean, the last administration, the very first few 6 months, we remember, it just seemed like things were going helter-skelter. There was lots of silence, you know, and there were lots of mistakes that were allowed to just perpetuate out until it was too much and then almost too late before reversals were made. So for me, this administration seems the most prepared of, you know, the previous ones, the ones that have become an adult to understand. The other ones, if we are looking at military governments, remember those ones did not care about our feelings, they just came in and they declared whatever it is that they wanted to declare, and we had to fall in line whether we liked it or not. So, and I like, as you said, you know, and I'll go back to the fact that he's responsive, because you find yourself in a new place, really you cannot know everything, but if you're also humble enough and you're also responsible enough to understand, to listen to what the people are asking. And it's not just to, you know, be like a yes person and just quickly do what people are saying, but then you wait vis-a-vis your own experience, the people that you have put around you to help you work in your cabinet, and then you make better informed decisions. Then you are prepared. So I'm more confident so far of what I've seen in 100 days in this administration. That
on your steps, let me come to you, Damola, your thoughts, because there's a part of this manifesto that says, I'm reading from the article also, says, we shall phase out fuel subsidy, yet maintain the underlying social contract between government and the people. Now, one was done, the other wasn't considered properly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's in your manifesto that you remove it, but you never go away from that social contract of ensuring that there are jobs, ensuring that there's economic stability, you know. So, is it that there was hastiness in some of these things to do, or how do you think they could do better in the policy? The policy is good, but were they too fast for not considering the social contract that they promised us? What do you think?
Well, I think that it's just like when you're in the university. Theory is always different from reality. So when you want to take over a government, it's common for politicians to promise you heaven and earth. But have they removed the fuel subsidy? Yes, they have. So I think we should look at the brighter side. It has happened, and we should look at the efforts the government, the intentional efforts the government is taking to cushion these efforts. Because if you look at the, when the fuel subsidy was removed, it led to a 20% growth in the capital market, which is the best performance in 15 years. So there are other positives to the fuel subsidy removal that we should look at.
Okay. Let me take this call on Malai. Thanks for calling on Malai.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're live.
Yeah, this is Malai calling from Abuja.
Yes.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
All right. Actually, I just want to contribute to our perspective about the 100 days in office of Mr. President. I would be to say that he actually started on a good note, but it's been seen now that he's not prepared at all. In the sense that the removal of subsidy is something that we have been looking forward to from a prepared mind. But 3 months after, we have not seen a good method of cushioning the effect on the people. Now, the palliatives that we promised Nigerians through the state governors, we all know how it has always been. Whatever goes to the state, to the grassroots, only hijacked by state government, and it doesn't get to the people at all. Now, giving 5 billion naira to state governors is dashing capital to the personal account of the state governors. At so many states, even my state, Kogi State, right now, have not changed the difference of whatever palliatives that have come from the federal government. I will not see, even till November, when the election will be coming, they might use that money for election.
I thought it has been reviewed. The 5 billion naira to the governors. I thought it has been reviewed. Maybe I'll cross-check that.
He was saying that the governors, that it doesn't feel like the president was prepared because the subsidy was taken out, and then we're now trying to quickly provide palliatives and all of that stuff.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll confirm, because I read somewhere that has been reviewed. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll get the right information. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.